You are gazing into a literal black mirror. As you stare into the blackness, into the interminable abyss, someone or something stares back into you. Time loses all meaning, and all sense of self is dissolved. You are lost in its depths. The demons possess you through this portal. Welcome back, denizens of Dark City. This installment will continue to examine the implications and moral dilemmas that arise from the technology depicted in Severance and their parallels in Dark City. Once again, come gaze into the black mirror and observe how the insidious technologies of Severance are but reflections of the same in Dark City. People in positions of power do not seek merely to hoard wealth. They hoard knowledge and information as well. Knowledge is power. It enables those in the know to appear omniscient and worthy of their positions to those over whom they rule. In Severance, the insertion of the chip allows Lumen to hoard knowledge by ensuring absolute control over the transmission of information. Lumen seeks to keep its secrets from competitors as well as conceal whatever nefarious activities it may be developing from the world. Espionage is not only practiced by government to obtain military or political intelligence, it is also utilized by corporations. Every successful corporation is aware that its competitors desire the formula for its secret sauce, and thus every corporation utilizes counter-espionage tactics to protect these secrets. Those who insist that conspiracies are not commonplace would do well to remember that in the world of political espionage, deceit, treachery, and betrayal are the order of the day, and conspiracy is the rule, not the exception. Corporations, especially pharmaceutical companies, even employ operatives to infiltrate comment sections of social media as well as product, media, and book reviews to influence public opinions about their products. The term astroturfing refers to the manufacture of counterfeit political or social movements that are covertly directed and funded by nations or corporations to influence public perceptions. The purpose is to make the public believe that these are grassroots movements that arose organically due to a dissatisfaction or need for change as a means to influence others to join the cause. These tactics exist and have been exposed in the past. One has to look no further than the obvious manipulation of film ratings to see the evidence of its application.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Stay tuned to Dark City. In the coming weeks, installments will explore in greater depth the use of secret communication, codes, and mind control techniques used to keep us enslaved within the matrix of control. Instances of cryptography, subliminal messaging, foreshadowing, and coded language within film, music, and media will be analyzed with examples, and those who pay attention may discover ways to escape its influence.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Intelligence agencies rely on a system of compartmentalization, referred to as security clearances, to maintain control of sensitive information. Information is disseminated on a need-to-know basis, and each agent receives just enough information to perform his job, remaining ignorant of the goals and activities of the levels above his own. This allows the agency to control the flow of information, and only proven agents are entrusted to receive higher clearance levels for increasingly sensitive information. Only those at the top level have the full scope of whatever agenda is being advanced. In this way, a conspiracy can be progressed without any threat of exposure by those whose allegiances are questionable. In other words, the weakest links in the chain have no information to connect the agency with whatever conspiratorial act may manifest in the public sphere. Plausible deniability. If information is presented in a compartmentalized manner, then people will never attain a holistic understanding of their environment. The dissociation of knowledge allows them to be controlled by an exterior source through exploiting their ignorance. By contrast, if dissociated knowledge is integrated, then the individual gains a more holistic understanding of a system and is better able to function within it. This would not benefit those who occupy positions of power. Compartmentalization is used in the education system as well. The question of interest is, How does the 1% implement a system of control over the 99% in which these tactics can be applied? The answer is through erecting an infrastructure or a framework wherein access to higher levels of consciousness are restricted. Some form of technology is used that serves as a barrier, preventing the populace from healthily progressing through natural stages of neural development, the completion of which would enable conscious progression to the level of performing this necessary integration of dissociated information. In other words, the social engineers rely on some form of technology that induces a brain state that lowers the capacity for receptiveness of higher conscious states or higher vibratory mental states. To coin a pop culture reference, such a technology would prohibit the masses from freeing themselves from the matrix of disinformation or the illusion that has been pulled over their eyes to blind them from true reality. Dark City and Severance have similar contingencies in place should attempts to resist, dissent, or escape the established system of control occur. The methods range from dissemination of disinformation designed to misdirect or discredit ideas that counter the established narrative to termination of the dissenter. To discourage attempts at escape, Lumen's chip has somehow altered the innie's intellectual levels, inducing a childlike mentality which lowers the likelihood of questions or escape attempts. However, if the Lumen employees violate protocol, they are sent to the break room as a form of punishment. The break room is an interesting concept because the forms of punishment to which the innies are subjected are eerily reminiscent of applications used in real time during the MK Ultra projects and are similar to torture methods still in use today. Lumen has its own methods of motivation and control, its own mazes and dead ends to direct its innies back into their positions. The severed personas exist in a very childlike state, motivated to keep their attention focused on their mysterious duties with promises of finger traps, waffle parties, and caricatures. Those who deviate from protocol are sent to the break room, where they are psychologically tortured, forced to repeat an apologetic mantra until it is expressed with the appropriate conviction, while various ominous sounds are played on an endless loop. The audience is left to wonder what significance these sounds have to the individuals subjected to them.
I really am sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
No paraphrasing. Again.
The narratives crafted by shows that examine these philosophical concepts often occur in an environment that is itself a deception. The entire reality in which the characters function is a lie. In the 1990 film Total Recall, the main character, Quaid, is a former intelligence agent who was deactivated and now lives a mundane life ignorant of his former activities. His former identity is uncovered or activated during a memory implant procedure called Recall, a company that sells recreational memory packages that allow its customers to experience exotic places, lifestyles, and alternative identities without the expense or danger that comes with them. These experiences are completely fabricated, but during the procedure, Quaid experiences a recall of actual events unconnected to the company's implants. As the narrative unfolds, Quaid becomes less certain of his true identity, and the system implements contingency plans, systems of deception designed to lead the dissenting agent back into his sleeping persona. One particularly interesting scene illustrates the level of cruelty and insidious deception employed to coerce Quaid to comply.
Well, I suppose you're not here either.
I'm here. At Recall. I love you.
Right. That's why you tried to kill me.
No, I'd never do anything to hurt you. I want you to come back to me.
Bullshit.
What's bullshit, Mr. Quaid? That you're having a paranoid episode triggered by acute neurochemical trauma? Or that you're really an invincible secret agent from Mars who's the victim of an interplanetary conspiracy to make him think he's a lowly construction worker?
Referred to in this reality as gaslighting, the tactic witnessed in this scene demonstrates the level of evil and inhumanity required to use this kind of deceptive tactic to exert a level of psychological control that places an individual in a position to doubt his own sanity, to use memories, or in this instance an actual loved one, to manipulate him into a position of vulnerability. This tactic is employed often in the mainstream media, wherein the talking heads define the very actions of which they are guilty in a condescending voice, highlighting only the most sensational aspects and omitting the context as well as all references to evidence that supports it, signaling the audience to reject it out of a fear of being ostracized and by association anyone who believes it.
So in one of the emails, John Podesta is talking about pizza. He's Italian and Greek, I mean, you know.
And a very good cook.
And a very good cook, and yeah, his risotto recipe is still there if you want to see it. And I'm sure there's something very nefarious about that risotto recipe. So, out of whole cloth make up this story that John Podesta and I are running a child ring in the basement of the Comet Pizza Parlor.
By the way, there is no basement.
Yeah, there is no basement.
Several techniques of interest are of note in this example. There is a conspicuous absence of the actual evidence that has been presented to support these allegations. No counter-arguments or evidence are offered to refute the evidence that does exist. Only mocking tones and cheap jokes in conjunction with facial expressions and eye rolls that convey the supposed absurdity of the claims. These are signals to the audience to dismiss these allegations absent any investigation. They also serve as a veiled warning that those who entertain similar theories will be viewed in the same way. Of note is that the laughter following many of these flippant remarks is either elicited by the use of a teleprompter that cues the audience to laugh and applaud, or many times it is a laugh track. This is primarily for the home viewer to instill in their minds that the audience members share the same contempt for the individual's claims as the corporate mouthpiece and talking heads who parrot them. Similar to the scene analyzed in Total Recall, a sophisticated system of emotional manipulation and coercion is used to discourage beliefs that are antithetical to the elite's agenda. The fear of being ostracized that is elicited by the combination of these insidious tactics exploit people's innate fears of being excluded from the group. This is an evolutionary-based fear due to the human need for social contact and the fear of being isolated or alienated from others, a fate that would often lead to a lower likelihood of survival.
The work is mysterious and important.
In several scenes, severed employees recite Lumen's policy against fraternizing with colleagues.
That's good, that sounds just like me.
I know.
Hey, are you fraternizing too?
What? No, I'm a leader who cares about his employees and takes their requests seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at you, all dewy-mouthed. You never smile at me.
He's right, Mark. You are sparing with the facial encouragements.
That's ridiculous. I smile all the time.
Hey there. What are you all talking about?
This policy seems particularly cruel given that, for all intents and purposes, these employees have no meaningful intimate relationships outside of their prison-like work environments. Their memories to whatever relationships exist outside of this confinement are inaccessible to them, and this means that their only source of intimacy is through their relationships with their fellow Lumen employees. To forbid them to engage in intimate relationships adds a new dimension of hell to their predicament. A similar phenomenon is occurring in the real world, though in a more covert and gradual manner. Humans are social creatures and require healthy, intimate relationships for their emotional well-being. The human neural system evolved within a physical environment that required the attainment of a specific set of interpersonal skills required to foster and maintain these vital relationships. For example, the reading of cues, such as facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and most important, the bodily presence of other humans, were necessary abilities to establish healthy relationships. Neural structures evolved to respond to physical intimacy and proximity, and the emotional, hormonal, and neurochemical systems also evolved to respond to these physical stimuli. The external and internal feedback was necessary to foster this emotional well-being. Much of our interpersonal interactions now occur in absentia. They require no proximity and no intimacy. Physical intimacy is necessary for emotional well-being. We are beginning to lose the art of intimate conversation, how to engage with in real-world situations to respect the basic humanness of others. When the method with which a society communicates changes, the minds and the behaviors of its citizens are inevitably altered as well. A side effect of reliance on social media and technology is that people more easily develop emotional attachment and feelings of intimacy for fictional television characters than with people in their real lives. Society has also become increasingly dependent on social media and virtual platforms for dating and communication. They are being groomed to depend on a technological medium to satisfy their need for social interactions. This reliance begins to significantly alter or even deform the neural substrates and levels of transmitters emitted during these artificial exchanges. Dopamine release is triggered by artificial interactions and not during interactions with people in real-world situations. Subconsciously, they begin to perceive the medium itself as the satisfying stimulus rather than actual physical contact. Thus, they develop an unnatural reliance and a preference for these virtual experiences. Fear of loneliness and exclusion from the group are the common underpinnings of these effective methods of mind control. The removal of physical intimacy from the masses' lives makes them dependent on these alternate platforms for their emotional well-being. This gives the people who control access to these platforms an unprecedented level of control over the meeting of their emotional needs. The threat of losing this medium of intimacy results in the same existential dread as the tactics that exploit people's innate fears of being ostracized from the group if they entertain conspiracy theories that conflict with official narratives. Acclimating the populace to artificially generated realms also conditions people to prepare for increasingly artificial simulated environments, as though their neural systems are being reattuned to survive within a virtual realm. These devices are making us less human. We are being groomed for a life within a virtual reality, being forced to adapt to survival without physical intimacy, our well-being contingent upon relationships within a fictional world, a reality that does not exist, a reality created by an unknown engineer. And once adapted to this environment and dependent on it for emotional well-being, then we are at the mercy of the supplier of this environment to fulfill our emotional needs. A subsequent installment will examine the show's use of symbolism, subliminal messaging, and the predictive programming employed within the narrative. When one learns to speak the language of his rulers, then no secrets can be kept and no clues escape his attention. Keep asking the right questions. Followers of Dark City will come to truly understand the language of the Dark Ones. If we are to free ourselves from the programs that determine our fate, we must first learn the language of our programmers. Stay tuned to Dark City. In the coming weeks, installments will explore in greater depth the use of secret communication, codes, and mind control techniques used to keep us enslaved within the matrix of control. Instances of cryptography, subliminal messaging, foreshadowing, and coded language within film, music, and media will be analyzed with examples, and those who pay attention may discover ways to escape its influence. Like a labyrinth, the Black Mirror is a rabbit hole down which you are forever tumbling and from which you may never return, and your self-image will be remade into whatever form the dwellers within the darkness of the Black Mirror want you to be.
Didn't start asking the right fucking questions.